Hi, Soul Family. How are you this morning? I love this song. Is this Liam Payne? Then you opened up my heart and then you threw away the key. Just you and me. I used to be wanted, that's not free. People want me for one thing, that's not me. I know who this is about. So, I listened to yesterday's readings. I'm a little bit embarrassed. So, I'm sorry I kind of rambled on a lot. I was obviously slap happy. Have you ever been so tired, right? Anyway, I was just la 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 la, like I was freaking having a, I don't know, a video diary going or something. So, I'm gonna not do that. Items to choose from. I don't know why I have to make things so difficult. For earth elements, I have a pair of these beautiful wooden deer. I went up to Idlewild, which I haven't been up in a very long time, and I went into an antique store up there. It's an antique and collectibles. It's got incense on it. And I saw these up on the shelf, and it was at a time that I didn't have much money, and I was trying to figure out how to buy that little tiny home. But I saw them up there, and I knew I had to have them. But I didn't take them. I left, right? And I came home, and I called later, and I said, do you still have those? And I went up there and bought them. And you know, there's sometimes that you get stuff that you'd never regret it. One was this ring, and the other was this pair of deer. So deer for earth element. I'm showing all these things that I got at a time that I didn't think I could afford them, but I did it anyway because Spirit was telling me, don't be in such a poverty mindset, right? I grew up with that because of being a Jehovah's Witness. And it's stupid because my father is a gazillionaire, right? Kabbalah Wand. I don't know why they just wrote Kabbalah Wand. I don't even know about Kabbalah. To me, it's the chakras. So it's a crystal chakra wand. And same thing in Sedona. Coveted it. Coveted it. I really liked it. I really wanted it. And got it. So that's going to be fire element. And this is another item I got that day. This is, how funny. We're doing all of this, aren't we? All the things that I got when I didn't think I should. And I didn't regret it. There's a message clearly in that, right? This wasn't even really that expensive, but I had already got that, and I was just being drawn to all of the crystals. And it's funny because have you ever spent money on things and never worn them, right? Never bought clothes you've never worn or rarely worn, or got things in your house you never use it, right? And then there's those things that you get and you're constantly like this. I wear this all the time. I love this. So this is water element. Did I say this is fire, right? And that was earth. This is water element. The pearls, the freshwater pearls. It's got amethyst, turquoise, freshwater pearl. Okay? Water element. And then the other item that I got when I couldn't really afford to get it, which is dumb, so stop saying that. I could afford to get it because I got it, right? And I was supposed to get it. I literally did it. It was a mindset. It was like basically telling the universe, I'm not concerned. I know that money will come, right? I just had to drop that. It's been a struggle my whole life. Because it was my mother's problem. So this is the issue, right? Do you take on things and are you carrying things? And if you actually examine them and look at them, they're not even your things to carry. Now, and I don't mean burdens, right? Well, that was a burden, but her belief. And my mother, I told you, my grandmother, well, you guys didn't see the reading. I keep wanting to refer back to that reading I did yesterday for 4 hours that I didn't release. But my mother was, her mother was a communist. And so was my uncle. And so everything was very, only what was necessary. No extras, right? My grandmother was a beautiful, peaceful, loving woman that she believed that everybody should have equal. She, of course, when they took her to Russia, obviously they gave her the special tour, right? She didn't see the reality of what was there, but my grandmother believed the same as I do. She always has. She just believed that man could do it, and I believed that God could do it. I as a Jehovah's Witness, I believe that only God could do it. Now, I'm kind of in the middle. We do it with God, right? So, but because of that, and she got divorced when I was 6 months old and had 2 kids, and so she was on welfare. And I guess to her it was kind of like, ugh, she's back to where she was, right? And everything was always, you know, a single mother. I know I was a single mother raising 2 kids, worrying about, you know, where's the money going to come from? And she had that mindset for so long, and it's funny, I must have heard her say things as a child because I've held that mindset. And she married my dad. When she met my dad, that was a love story. They met, and 3 weeks later they were married 35 years. And he had $50 in his wallet. That's all he had. $50 in the bank. He didn't have any money. He was working in the back of somebody else's shop. He was a Volkswagen mechanic, and he was a mechanic, and then he decided he was going to start doing it on his own. Started this business on his own, and of course, when you start a business, you don't have the money, right? There's no money flow. Within just a couple of months, we moved out of the apartment that we lived in and into a big house, and then it just went from there. My dad has the Midas touch, right? So my mother went from being rags to riches, and it changed her. It's strange. It did. It changed her. She got spoiled, but she never lost that poverty mindset. And my dad's always been self-employed, so when it would be lean, and sometimes it is. I've been married to construction workers, and there's always a lean time of year, always at the same time. And then there's a time when it's very, very full. And I'm a saver because of my grandma, because of my mom. I was raised, probably because I was raised mostly by my grandmother, right? My mom was I don't know where my mom was. My grandmother would say that the only fresh air I ever got was out the car window as my mom drove to the mall. So I lived at my grandma's pretty much. And so that's probably why I had that mindset. I washed out baggies. I still do. Washed the paper plate and used it again. That's, if it wasn't that dirty, I'm telling you, my grandmother grew up in the Depression, right? She was very frugal. I always thought my grandmother didn't have much. I had no idea. She just was a saver. She had a lot. And she took care of everybody else. So my mom, though, would always say, she'd go into a panic whenever things would get lean. My dad was just talking. My dad was never worried about money. He's never had a poverty mindset. He has always said, and it's always been my... I've known that, and I've said that too. Money comes, money goes. It's energy. But at the same time, I had my mother's fear battling, and she would panic, and my dad would say, "Hun, it's fine. It's money. It comes, it goes. Don't worry about it. You stress over it." And then he'd come home 2 days later, and people pay him in cash for what his job, for what he does, right? And he would dump this briefcase of cash. Hundreds and hundreds. Are there $500 bills? I remember when I was a child, this bill that I didn't even know existed. What is the largest paper currency in the United States? Sorry if I don't know this. And I said I wasn't going to ramble on, but there's reasons for this. U.S. paper money. And it doesn't tell us. Well, you guys can, whatever it wasn't $20, it wasn't $50, it wasn't $100, it was huge. Whatever it was huge. And I used to get with my mom. My dad would say, "Okay, hon, count it," because I had to keep track of it. And so she would have piles, stacks of cash, and then and she had been so stressed out, right? And then she laughed, and I remember her sitting on the bed and throwing it up in the air, and going, "Wee!" throwing the money in the air, and I was like, wow. So, it was fun for me to count out, okay, you count the 50s, you count and there was a lot. There was always a lot, right? So, this is good for me to think about right now because you should do that. Like, literally do that. My mom used to, after her and my dad got divorced, she used to print out like $1 million bill and stick it on her refrigerator, stick it in the freezer. She did all this kind of feng shui and intention, like stuff that I didn't know why she was doing that. She'd buy $100,000 bars and put them in the freezer. That means she had hard, cold cash. But poverty mindset needs to be overturned. It's just energy, right? And when you've got the energy that you don't know where the money's coming from, it's a problem. Don't worry about it. It comes, right? Spirit knows what we need. We just need to not stress out, and we need to know that there's just as much to go around for, you know, you can be poor as well as you can be wealthy. You can be, it's just your mindset, you know, and besides, it's really not all about money, right? Money's important in this system, unfortunately. We have to use it to trade for our food and our rent. IRS doesn't care how spiritual we are. They want to know where the cash is, right? So, the other item is this ring, this turquoise ring with the leaf, okay? That is going to be air element. So we've got the Kabbalah Wand, I don't want to call it that, the Chakra Wand, fire, the deer, earth, the Freshwater, pearl, and turquoise and amethyst drop necklace, water signs, air signs. All right? All right, I did that in 11 minutes without going on for too long. But intentions are and the words that we speak are very, very powerful. I don't even have my rings on yet. The items we've got. So what decks do we want to work with, Spirit? You know what? Let's do a clearing. I woke up this morning and there's something going on, the energy. I wonder if you guys feel it. There's definitely something going on. I don't know who I'm connecting with, and I'm trying to clear it, but my stomach is in a knot. So like very, very nervous. Nervous. Like that feeling you get when you go up on a swing. My mom went, isn't that funny? That fell down. She's like, put it on. I've had it all morning, and it's, I didn't want to talk about him, but anytime my twin would come into town, I would feel this way, right? That energy. It's, my solar plexus is just spinning. So I'm going to ask Spirit to help me just calm down, relax, and we're going to ask for a blessing on this reading, and we're going to ask if you have anything that you want to release, any nervousness, worries, tension, illness, doubt, fear, anger, whatever it is that concern. We ask the Father. I'm going to ask the Father. I already asked Archangel Michael to do a sweep this morning, but I need my chakras cleared again. That's probably why I pulled this out, right? So we're asking Archangel Michael to come and open up our crown, and we're asking the Father to fill us with pure unconditional love. So as it goes through our crown, right, past our third eye, our throat, solar plexus, sacral, well, that's odd, we're off. Crown, third eye, throat, heart, solar plexus, sacral chakra, root chakra, right? So we're pouring it down. You can imagine it going down like this, right? As it goes down, it's filling us up. So let it go down. Let it start, and whatever's inside of you, whatever negative thoughts or fears or worries or doubts or whatever that you've had yourself that's been polluting your inner shield, that's, love is the most powerful energy there is. So it's burning off that, whatever that was, whatever's in there. I can imagine it also burning off excess fat, excess, anything that is attached inside, that, like if you've got the stomach flu, or if you've got some kind of bacteria, whatever's inside of your body, imagine it, the unconditional love is purifying you, clearing, cleansing, healing. I see my little cells, my little warriors, the ones that are struggling, but they still have fight left in them. I ask that they be filled and plumped up and brought back to life. And the ones that aren't doing well, I ask that be taken away. And when the unconditional love flows out the top, they're removed, right? So that the ones can be regenerated, and the old ones can be sloughed off. Kind of like this morning I had a shower and I was using the sloughing for your body, right? Dead skin. You don't want anything like that. Now it's coming down around the outside of us. Here it goes. We've been watching, people have been posting to me volcanoes. So you can imagine it going down. As it hits the ground, it solidifies into rainbow titanium. And it's, now we ask Archangel Michael to seal us back in, seal our crown back in, and put a mirrored coating on the outside of us. Bubble. Now we're back in our shield. So now we ask that the Father fill this bowl with unconditional love, and anything that's around in the area. I've already had my house swept, but I'm asking for protection from this window to the world, from the computer, from this cell phone, from anybody else's energy that I'm connecting with, because I'll be connecting with all of you, right? And I ask for a shield of protection, extra protection in my workspace, and anything else that you guys wish to have go into this bowl. Unconditional love is what's in there, and it's going to pull in anything that's not working. It can be even situations, right? Miscommunication, misunderstandings, difficulties between people. Whatever it is that's not working, blockages, distance, we ask that it be pulled in. And as we move the energy around, everything is going to be pushed through the walls. This is 24 karat gold and clear quartz. So 24 karat gold is always to remind you how worthy you are, to have everything that your heart desires. You are worthy. And the clear quartz is the crystal that you use to set your intention. So whatever your intention is, it's in this bowl, okay? And when I vibrate it out, anything that's diseased or uncomfortable or not doing well, as it passes through the walls of the unconditional love, it's healed. And it sends that energy out in a positive, all the way around. It's going to go out in all directions, right? Unconditional love is always vibrating from us if we ask for that. And this is what we're going to do. We're transforming negative into positive. If you're thinking something negative, say the exact opposite. I love this. Every time I hit the side wall, I asked for something. But before I began to do that, I was calling on, wow, and I see you right now. It's so incredible. I was calling on my angelic team, any beings of love and light to move forward, make themselves be known. And then when I hit the wall the first time, I was out calling up to my mom. I said, calling on, oh, well, not just my mom, calling on all low-flying angels. So when I'm calling on all low-flying angels, that would be the ones who have most recently passed into spirit from our lives, from our families, from whoever it is that's connecting with me right now, whoever is watching this, calling on your low-flying angels. And when I looked outside just now, I see it. I see a face in the palm leaves. It's peaceful. Their eyes are down. There's a tall one standing next to them, and very tall, much taller than them. And then the one, they're in the middle. And then the one next to them is maybe a head taller. This one's a father. And these two are, the one in the middle that I saw first is a child. And, oh wow. The one to the left is their sister. So what's interesting is the message I'm getting. The one that's the littlest one, it never was born as a child. It was lost. It was a miscarriage. And the one that it's right next to was a small child. Small? Teenager. And that's why the other one next to them is so much taller. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Calling on all low-flying angels. So if you are wanting to connect with one of those, or somebody in your family, and that sounds like somebody to you, that message was for you. They're right there. And the one, the youngest one is the one that was so peaceful. Because they never had the trials of this world, right? They went straight back into spirit. So that one is helping the other two. Because it's a transition back, right? That was channeled because I didn't expect that to come out. So because of that, the deck that Spirit wants us to work with right now is the Indigo Angels. As a starseed and a light worker, I obviously have a lot of people that watch that are indigo children. I'm an indigo. I'm an alpha indigo. I'm one of the first indigos. If you look back, there's, you can look it up, the different stages of different stages of indigo children, and the different, here, I'll just do it. Indigo children. Indigo children. Alpha. I'll just put alpha and I'll see if it comes up. Indigo generations. Okay, so there's 5 generations. There's the alpha, born between 1958 and 1968. There is the beta, born between 1968 and 1978. Oh my God, that's why my Siamese fighting fish is my twin. Huh. That's a beta. It's amazing. He's a beta a beta indigo. The gamma is born between 78 and 88, which would be my daughter and my son. The delta is 1988 and 1998. So what's the difference? So the gamma generation is the first generation of minimally overlaid indigos. If they have any overlay at all, it's generally violet. We're talking about like your auric field, right? It's generally violet with some appearances of crystal, ocotrine. This is where some of the earliest manifestations of apparent ADD and ADHD in indigo children began. Saturn's return awakening for this generation will be between 2006 and 2016. That's when they would awaken. And then the gamma, that was the gamma. The delta, the first of the pure indigos with no color overlay at all. These are the ones born between 88 and 98. Only the highly chameleonic crystal. These are the wildest of the apparent ADD, ADHD group, and guidance states that it is possible that is the rapid-fire overstimulation by the public media of this time acting on the crystal overlay that is driving the indigo child to distraction. Suggestions of the use of slower rhythms and deep warm colors in their environment rather than the use of drugs may stop these oscillations that make them ping off the walls and give the crystal ocotrine element in their overlays something to use for grounding. This will also soothe the indigo child when she is overstimulated by noisy, flashy environment. It will also make the transition into adolescence smoother. This group will have their hardest puberty. And if not carefully monitored, oh babe, the highest drug, alcohol, suicide rate of all the cohorts. Saturn's return awakening will be from 216 till 226. These ones born in 1988 to 1998. Then there comes the Omega. That's generation 5. 1998 to 2008. According to my guidance, this will be at least the last decade of the pure indigos and the end of the major cohorts. They may have as many difficulties in acclimatizing themselves to the environment as the Delta generation, and depending on the local condition, may have an extremely difficult childhood. Many of these indigos will be born of earlier indigos, and some will be reincarnations of Alpha and Beta generation indigos who chose to leave early. I had one that chose to leave early. That's the one that the one that wasn't born. Could be also the ones that chose to leave early that were born. I know that I watched somebody in my astral traveling connections. I watched a family, and there was a little girl, and the little girl had a ball, and they were walking through like a market area, and the ball went running, and the child went running after the ball, and she was hit by a car and she was killed. And that would be one that chose to leave early. She came to experience that. She came to have that effect on that family. And the ones that stayed in that family came to experience going through that and having to deal with that. And I watched a man, I've told you before, standing with his hands clenched at his sides, water up to his waist, salt water, tears, fists clenched. And I said, "Why are you standing that way? Won't the water ruin your suit?" And he said, "No, my suit will dry out. I have to stand this way. If I don't, I'll kill him." Who? What did he do? He hurt a child, and I wasn't able to stop him. So I think about that. I also think about, I have all kinds of dreams where I've watched things happen to little ones. And the ones that are left behind, say it's a brother or sister that something happens to, and you're too little to stop it, right? And then you carry that guilt. And especially when I'm listening to this, that little one that went was most likely, because of the time period that I'm watching, a child of an earlier indigo who already has this much to deal with, right? Makes a lot of sense that it would be very difficult for them to go through this healing. So, the alpha, born with the blue-green violet overlays. That's why turquoise is my soul color, right? I didn't even know that when I understood that turquoise was my soul color. Camouflage with tans. Saturn's return awakening years for this generation were 1986 and 1996, age 28 for each year. This generation is now in their post-awakening years and is in the process of rediscovering and recovering their gifts. Some are currently transiting into their Octarian phase. This was obviously written quite a while ago, 2002. So I told you the other ones, I might as well give you the other. The Beta generation, also born with a blue-green violet overlay. That's why my twin, he's of the Beta generation, I'm of the Alpha, and we both have the same color. But he doesn't have the tan camouflage, I do. The Saturn's return awakening for this generation were 1996 and 2006. This generation is also post-awakening. And it's interesting, when we connected with one another, I was in Sedona, and I guess he looked at my LinkedIn profile, and he said, "A Reiki master, wow, I didn't know this about you. I've had my awakening too. The third eye, the Kundalini, on and on." Now, of course, we now know that you don't just awaken, right? We reawaken over and over and over. We have many levels that we ascend. But it was really awesome for me to connect with him at that time and realize that someone that I really cared about had also gone through this process, right? I didn't know at that time he was my spiritual twin. So the first people that we're going to be working with are the ones who chose the Kabbalah. I don't know why I keep saying that. There's a reason. So let's look up why I keep saying that. Your message is here, and your message is acceptance. So I'll speak about what Spirit gives me while I'm doing this. Basically, the first thing that comes to mind is that you need to accept things as they are, not as you wish them to be. Acceptance is a way for us to have peace, because we often wish it can be this way, or we want to go back to this, or even with me, like I get glimpses ahead, like years in advance, right? And yet I can't go there except for in my dreams or in my mind and my meditation. So it's about accepting the way things are at this moment. But it's also, I'm looking at her, right? She's looking down. It's also accepting yourself as you are, not judging yourself. You can't accept others and stand in a place of non-judgment if you're judging yourself, right? If you're looking down on yourself, if you're expecting more from yourself. As I read this about the indigos, so many people don't understand, right? I've watched this child in my dreams that was breaking things, and everyone was yelling at this child. The sound would overstimulate them, and this child had autism. Another one that I know has Asperger's, very high functioning, right? My daughter's husband's nephew has autism, and he's brilliant. He doesn't have very good social skills. Like, he's blunt and he'll say things that may sound rude. He comes across kind of like a computer sometimes. But he's my grandson, Trey. It's his favorite cousin. He connects very well to him. And he is brilliant, and he's going to do amazing things. And I remember in my dream the other night, that person said to me, why do you want him? You don't want him, he's not going to amount to anything. And I said, you're wrong. He's going to do amazing things. He's gifted. I know his gifts, right? So, Kabbalah, the ancient Jewish tradition of mystical interpretation of the Bible. How very interesting. First transmitted orally using the esoteric methods, including ciphers, it reached the height of its influence in the later Middle Ages and remains significant in Hasidism. I don't know what that is, I'm sorry. My twin's got Jewish in him. I don't. So, esoteric teaching, I work with Archangel Metatron. Michael as well, of course, but Metatron always, because Metatron works with the children, and I work with children. Children are drawn to me because I've got kind of like a childlike energy, right? I'm very connected to my inner child. So you may be as well, one of those people that you could help children. And it's our job, especially me as an alpha indigo, to help the ones that don't understand what they're going through, right? There's nothing wrong with them. They should be celebrating their gifts. And really, now the ones like my grandson with the crystal, he's a crystal child, he's not embarrassed. When they came, they're not ashamed. They'll just speak about it, which I love, because that's what I'm like, right? But the ones before were always trying to hide what they felt, because they stood out. So the Kabbalah is a set of esoteric teachings meant to explain the relationship between God, the unchanging, eternal, and the mysterious, and I won't say it wrong, I won't say it right, so I'm not even going to try, the infinite, and the mortal and finite universe. It forms the foundation of mystical religious interpretation within Judaism. So I don't, I will never be in any religion again, but I'm very curious about this. It's no surprise that that my spiritual twin is Jewish. Okay, so acceptance. I'm looking at the pearls in her hair. Those are pearls of wisdom. Everything that this one has experienced in their life, male or female, challenges, mistakes, you call them mistakes, call them mistakes, and then, next take, let's do another take, like you're running a movie, right? You flub that one up, fresh take, right? Let's go again. So instead of a mistake, it's a mistake. So let's start again, right? My twin said to me, I'm a work in progress. We all are, right? So she's wearing freshwater pearl drop earrings, and she's wearing freshwater pearls in her hair, and that's why I no doubt was supposed to wear my freshwater pearls, right? So, as an indigo, or this may be an indigo in your life, I told you the generations, right? The times that they were born. We're built to question everything. It's part of why we came here. I like that. We're curious. It may cause us to reject a part of our life that was very familiar to us at one time. Like, I was a Jehovah's Witness for my whole life until about, I don't know how long ago it's been now, 10 years, 13 years, I don't know when, since my mom died. And I was devout. I was devout because I was adopted by my father. I'd always wanted a father, and I finally got one when I was 8. And because of that, I did everything I could to make him love me. I wanted to be accepted by him. I wanted to make him happy. I wanted to make him proud. So I did everything. I was the best Jehovah's Witness little girl that I could possibly be. And I always knew that God was always watching me. My conscience is very, very strong, very loud. And my father, I was his favorite child because of that. Who doesn't love somebody who worships the ground you walk on, right? But I've rejected that entire lifestyle. I don't regret living it. It was very important. It helps me help other people that are coming out of religion. It also gave me a knowledge of the Bible and a basic understanding of angels, and it's changed rapidly, but I have rejected that lifestyle, right? I don't take that on as my belief system. I take some of it. I say that my twin calls himself a New Age hippie. I'm not New Age. I'm nothing. I don't have a label. I don't like labels. because I've taken a little bit of everything, and it's whatever sounds right and whatever works for me and whatever works with spirit, that works for me, right? I'm not judging any of it. That works, that works, that works. I'll put it all together and put it in my backpack, and I've got my magician's tools, right? So we have to reject parts of our life in order to get to the next level, because we're ascending up the stairs, right? We're going up. We start out here and we're making our way up, all the way up until we get back to spirit, whatever our life path is that we chose, however long we were meant to be here and what lessons we were meant to learn. So spirit says right now for us, the message is they want us to search. Since we're questioning everything, right? We are. We're questioning. I question everything. I do. And even in the Bible it says, God says, question me. Ask me to prove it, right? Show me. And that's what I said. I dismissed all of my guides because I was getting confused. I didn't know who they were. I hadn't seen any angels, and I was getting conflicting guidance. And I said, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this anymore. I don't know who you are. If you're my friend, I'll know your name. And if you don't come and show yourself to me or tell me who you are, I don't want anything to do with you. So I dismiss all of you. And I'm only going to go straight to the Father. I work with the Father, period. And one by one, my angels stepped forward. Michael came first. And then Jesus came. And that was very, very overwhelming for me, because when I left the Jehovah's Witness organization, as a Jehovah's Witness, you cannot speak to God. You have to pray through Jesus' name. He was like a mediator, right? We couldn't go straight to God, and I found that insulting when I realized that that's my Father. I don't need an angel to go through to speak to my Father. That's my dad. But you see, when I was a Jehovah's Witness, I never had a bond with God. I never had a connection. Didn't mean anything to me, because when my father married my mom, I had to go back to sleep energetically. My gifts went back to sleep. And so my mind, I was disconnected from my source. And it wasn't until, my animals kept me connected, but I'd lost my gifts. And when I had the awakening start to happen again, and I realized that someone was speaking to me, I saw my first Native American guide. She's always, the grandmother's always with me. And I heard Archangel Michael. I didn't know who it was at the time. And then when I got to Wisconsin, he showed up. I saw him. I realized, as Jehovah's Witness, I was taught that was demonism. You're not talking to angels, you're talking to demons. Why? But the elders in the congregation, they were able to talk to spirit, not the regular people. I'm not a regular person. I'm an angel walking, right? I'm here with gifts that I've been given to do a service. I work for spirit. So that's my team. How can you work in unison with a team if you can't communicate with them, right? I don't need to go through someone else. If I'm in my room or if I'm somewhere else and I need assistance, I need you now, right? So I stopped praying in Jesus' name. I didn't know if I even believed that was real anymore, right? That God's Son came to the earth, because Jehovah's Witnesses are taught that his name is Michael in heaven and his name is Jesus on earth. But I was shown they're two different entities. Master Jesus is a master. He is. He's loving. He's a master teacher. And Archangel Michael had a different duty. So everything, I had to reject parts of my belief system. Why am I talking about me? Because this is how I teach. Because I can't say for you. I can say it for myself, right? So Spirit wants you to know that there's something going on right now they want you to examine. There's someone that we're possibly rejecting, or something. Is there someone? Is there someone or something that we are rejecting at this time? We can't do that. We need to accept our life completely as it is right now. We can't change what goes on around us completely, because we can alter things. We can't change other people's course of their life completely. We can't affect them. But we can't change everything we don't like, right? We can't. There are certain things that we need to tolerate in this lifetime because it's lessons. It's like being born into a family and you're the only starseed, like my family. I am the only starseed until Trey, right? I don't believe that now. I thought that, but my kids push their gifts away. I know that both my kids have gifts and my grandson does. It runs in our family. My cousin does. It runs in our family. But people reject their gifts because they don't understand it. They reject it because of their religion, because of what people say. because they're afraid, because they're made fun of. There's something that we are rejecting. So here you are in a family, like in my family, and I was the only one like me that I thought. I didn't know my cousin was like me. I didn't know my cousin's stepsister was like us either. Not when we were little. No one really talked about stuff, right? And I moved away from Canada when I was little. I was like 11 and a half. So is there, like if you're born into a family and you're the only starseed and everybody else is, oh man, Spirit just threw a message at me and it's completely thrown me off. I'm sorry. That was like, I need to write something down. I'm really sorry. I apologize. I didn't want to do this, but I have to write this down because I can't forget that. It's just given me, they told me yesterday that and in my dreams that I was going to be getting information. It was going to drop down really quickly, things I needed to hear. So I got something and I had to write it down. So say you're in your family and you're the only one like you. Like I said, which one of these is not like the others? Me, right? So you're rejected. Or maybe you reject your gifts because you don't want to be different than everybody else, right? But you're born into a family and your family is your greatest teacher. All of your family members, and they may not be, you probably wouldn't choose your family for friends. Most people probably wouldn't choose their family for friends because that's our hardest lesson. You're forced to live in a very close proximity with people very different from you. And that's how you learn how to handle people outside, right? You had to do it in your family. My brother and I, we're not even friends. Most people don't even know I have a brother. There's reasons, and I mean, I'm not saying, I've readjusted my thinking about that, and this might even be my message right now. There were reasons, right, that we were separated, but in all reality, I do have love for my brother. I do. He's my brother, and it doesn't matter that we're completely different. We're of the same blood. We have the same mother, right? We had the same father. So, funny that I hesitated on that, though, isn't that? That was very interesting to me that I just said that. I'm looking at Big Brother right now. Literally, I'm looking at Big Brother. He's flying towards me in a military aircraft. Okay, so, it was for someone else. That's why I said that. We had the same mother. So, somebody has a big brother. They have a different father. Same mother, different father, and I'm speaking to you right now. There's someone that you're rejecting because they're difficult, and there's someone that you need to accept. So we need to accept everybody as they are. We need to understand that we can't change things that we don't like, and some things need to be tolerated. Doesn't mean you need to hang out with them. Doesn't mean, they may be completely, like, I disagree with what my brother does, right? I disagree. I'm not gonna associate with that. I don't, if I don't respect you, I'm not going to be in your company. So, and yet I have to also be non-judgmental, right? Like, cause he's here learning his lessons in his life and I'm learning mine. And so I had to get myself to a place of just acceptance, right? I don't have a problem with my brother. I probably am supposed to contact him. I just got that message. That's interesting. So that's okay. That's good. Spirit's telling us right now, if this is something that we need to tolerate, you don't need to hang out there. But Spirit wants us to recognize that if we come to a place of acceptance, what does that look like when you look at this picture of this person? They're not stressed out, are they? They're relaxed. Relax, right? You don't have to change them. They don't have to be like you. You don't have to be like them. It can just be what it is, right? And you can agree to disagree. It's my favorite saying that my grandmother taught me. So if you've got issues with family, or and for some reason this is about family. Since I was watching, this is about family, extended family, cousins, brothers. I didn't know that I had a completely different family, 2 different families. Right? I've got 2 little sisters. My real father had, after he divorced my mom, and before he married my mom, he had 4 children, 3 sisters and a brother. I've never met any of them. Well, I've met a couple of them online. I've only met my little sisters twice. And it's interesting because one of my sisters is she was like a singer and actress. Oh, wow, another message. Okay, I'll remember this. Okay, and I love to sing. We all love to sing in my family. We're Welsh. We're known for singing. And I looked the most like her when I saw her. That was so interesting to look, that there was somebody older than me, that we have the same father, right? And to look at somebody that is so similar to you, but then very different. So there's lives, and yet everybody kind of stays separated. They've wanted to do a family reunion, right, in Canada, but I don't have my passport. I got to get it done. I want to do that. I would love to meet my brothers and sisters, right? My brother and sisters. For some reason, I have a brother that I know is in spirit, and no one's ever told me that, but I'm told that by spirit. So it could have been that my mother had a miscarriage and I never knew about it, or that my father had a miscarriage with someone, right? I don't know. So if we are able to just allow to be, like my Akashic records have been opening, and I've been connecting with my birth family's roots in New South Wales, Australia, and Wales, right? So there's a lot of extended family, but it does affect us because it's where we came from, and you can see why things are a certain way, and oh my God, this is something that's been going on for generations, beliefs or feelings, and we're here to break the cycles. We're here to stop the patterns. In my family, there was sexual abuse. All the way back, the women were sexually abused. Everyone was in my family. And the men were all alcoholics, and I just realized, not all of them. My son isn't. My grandson, clearly. My favorite cousin is not. But the rest were, that I was familiar with, uncles, grandfathers on both sides, right? And I just realized, I told myself something when I did the 4-hour video the other day, was that my father's mother, she was an alcoholic. And I thought, wow, there's a lot of codependency and addiction in our family, right? And a lot of molestation. Why were people drinking? Because they were being molested, because they were being abused, they were trying to function. Also, because many of us were gifted and we didn't understand what the hell was going on. When I was a child, it was great because I was talking to the animals. That was my gift, right? I spoke the language of all the animals, and it was fun. I freaking loved it. I still love it. I don't speak their language anymore. I really, really have, I ask every day for Spirit to give me that language back. I would love to have my language back, please. And my friend Ryan in Sedona says, if you had it once, you can get it again. It's in your mind. It's there. You're telling yourself you can't. So, and I'm just getting, you're powerful on your own, right? The reason I don't have my language is because I needed to learn what the animal messengers meant so that I could teach others. Because if I was just talking to the animals, that'd be great. I'm an animal communicator. That's great for me and the animal. It doesn't help everybody else. But as a teacher, if I could teach you guys, hey, pay attention to, the hummingbird. The hummingbird says you will accomplish what might seem impossible to yourself and others. It tells you to lighten up. It tells you to grab the sweetness in life, right? Pay attention to that horse in the field, right? Think about the horse. To me, a horse represents freedom, always. And I always think of the wild horses, and it's so sad. They've been rounding them up and slaughtering them, actually, and doing all kinds of, using them for meat and breaking them in. And I have a wild horse inside of me, and my grandmother was a horse. She was an Aries horse. So the horse is important. The horse, if you look into the eyes of a horse, it's the deepest soul, and they're gentle and they're powerful and they are so connected. So you think of the horse as forward movement, right? As assistance, as there's so many messages, but it depends on the colors of the horses. But I could go on, right? But if I could teach you that if an animal makes itself known to you, and it doesn't have to be in person, it doesn't have to even be a live animal, it could be a picture or a painting. But if it makes itself very obvious to you, that animal is bringing you a message, and it's a very loud message. Okay, I just heard for myself, right now, the bay horse has a message for me. I've always loved the bay horse. Now, I think the reason I love the bay horse is because as an alpha indigo, my turquoise is my soul color, but I have an overlay of tan, right? So the bay horse symbolism, bay horse totem. You can look up, it's because horse just means certain things, and then the different colors mean certain things on top of that, same as dogs, right? So horse symbolism, the spirit animal totems is my favorite site. If you go to look up animal totems, that's my favorite site. They're literally called spirit animal totems, and they don't have all the animals. That's why I have to use other reference points. And I will tell you as well, I am a shaman. I was taught by spirit. I'm taught I was taught through my dreams. I was taught as a child with the animals. But the natives will say that you have to be appointed a shaman. I have been in past. I've been a shaman in many lives, and every shaman has their own way of understanding the meaning of the animals as they come to them. My friend Joseph Whitewolf, his version of what an animal means is different than mine. It's similar, but it's different. So it's what works with your highest self and what it means to you, right? But if you don't know, you look it up, and you know, basically the basic message is there. So I was told, what was I told? A bay. So that's a medium brown, which is what I'm wearing. Funny, it's not a mistake that I chose to wear these colors today, right? It was very important for me to wear these colors today. I'm wearing my brown boots. I don't know. I know why, because Spirit wants me to get grounded. It's very important right now. Why? I told you I had that very, very nervous energy. So my energy is high. I'm flying very high right now. I've had a lot of downloads. So I need to pull myself back down to earth. So brown is earth element, right? It's keeping me grounded. The Kabbalah Wand was... The deer is earth element. The Kabbalah Wand was... See how bad my memory is? This is water. Good Lord, I'm sorry, you guys. People ask me all the time, it must be difficult to function normally when you have so many messages coming at you, and it is. I try to multitask, but a lot of times people think that I'm scatterbrained. It's not that I'm scatterbrained. I'm actually quite tuned into what I'm doing. I'm just getting a lot of messages, right? So give me a second here. It has a lot to do with the fact that I'm connecting so heavily right now. Okay, the Kabbalah Wand. Was it fire? Water. Air. Right? Okay. Bay. I don't know why I even brought that up. I just guess I had to know where we were. The bay horse is symbolic of steady progress towards your goals. This is the specific message. And if you resonate with this message, you will know. Spirit will tell you, especially if this is the item that you chose, right? We chose the Kabbalah Wand, I think, I hope, I swear. I don't know what's happening right now, I'm sorry. I just need a second. I need some water. I wish I could pause my videos. I don't know how to do that. Okay. Okay. So it symbolizes that we're safely on our path, and that the elements in our life, or the things that we're choosing to nurture, focus upon, are the right things at this time. They are helping us move forward on our spiritually illuminated path right now. And Spirit's saying it's for our ultimate growth, right? So the message for me is the things that you are focusing on. We're proud of you. I literally just got good girl, Sherry. Thank you. Good girl. You're doing a good job. So we need to hear that. I've been saying that to Willow for the last while. Willow has a difficult time. She's a picky eater. And so in order to get her to eat, I'll say, good girl, Willow. And I'll pat her, good girl, Willow. And when I do that, she eats. We all need to be praised, right? Clearly my inner child didn't get a lot of that after I left my grandma. I was mostly with my grandma till I was 8, and then I was taken to North Vancouver, so I didn't get to be there as much as my cousins did. And then by 11 I was taken to California. So I didn't get the good girl, Sherry, for a long time. So I need to say it to myself, right? I'm not sitting here saying, oh, you should have done this. Our parents did the best that they could do with what they had at the time, with the knowledge that they had. My mother had her awakening much later in her life, not very long before she passed. She didn't have many years where she had been reawakened, and she didn't actually allow herself to fully reawaken. She was afraid. She didn't want, she had the sacred path, the deck, the sacred path. I was looking for it because it was important for me to find, and she used to always do kinesiology. I guess I'm supposed to talk to you guys about this right now. I thought this was going to be a long reading. The sacred path, this is my Native American tie. That's why why it was so important to me, I guess. Sacred path cards, they're medicine cards, right? I was always a medicine woman. So this is the discovery of self through Native teachings. And wow, Linda, the illustrations are by Linda. She's the artist. How awesome. That's so cool. Side point. So my mother would do kinesiology. She was a licensed kinesiologist. She did brain gym therapy, left brain therapy. She worked, she went and studied under Dr. Bach in England for the Bach flower remedies. So she worked with flower essences. She did so many cool things, and that's why I'm so sad that she's gone, because my life and her life are we would have done some amazing things together, right? And she was trying to get me to awaken before she passed. And I was slowly, I wasn't really paying a lot of attention to what she was saying. She's like, Sherry, you need to watch The Secret. You need to watch. And I'm like, oh, because she had left the Jehovah's Witness organization, right? And I hadn't. I felt obligated to stay there. And I just felt like it was something that was a pattern in my life, and I wasn't able to get out of that pattern. And it wasn't until she died that I finally broke free from it. And I'm not saying it, because it's like a cult mindset. They control you. There's rules that you must obey by. And if you're raised by that, it's driven into your head, and you're told that this is wrong and that's bad. And then you look back at your life and you think, God, I was the perfect Jehovah's Witness child, the perfect Jehovah's Witness wife, and look what I went through in my life. That was spirit, because when I rhyme, that's my highest self talking. So I don't want to live my life that way, and I started to open myself up. I was afraid, just like a lot of other people were. Somebody that I connected with was trying to open me up to the fact that there are other worlds and other entities, and I didn't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about aliens. I don't want to talk about, that freaked me out, right? I don't want to talk about that. Spirit gave me a stone, one of my last trips to Sedona, and it's clearly an alien. That I can see his face, his two little eyes, and his mouth right here, and his large head, and I see them, the watchers. I have a watcher. And someone wrote to me last night, okay, now this is what this is about, Lori. Has a watcher in her house, and she says the energy isn't sad, it isn't happy, it's just there. Because the watchers are they're like computer, they don't have the emotion that we have, they're observing us. I like to observe, right? That's what this one is doing, is observing. They're observing us, they're here to help us, but we've been taught to be afraid of them. This is all not what I expected to come out in this reading. I've seen aliens, and I used to be scared, and I'm not now, but I didn't want to open my mind up to that fact because my brain wasn't able to handle that. I could not wrap my brain around something that went against what I was taught my whole life, right? It just wasn't okay. When my twin told me he was half Anunnaki, I thought, no, you can't be half Anunnaki. That's the fallen angels. I can't be with somebody who's a part fallen angel, right? Well, I'm on the earth too. I'm an angel that came down to earth, right? There's so many things that we're taught that we think that that's it. It's a finite thing. So my mother was opening my mind to all of this stuff, and I was kind of thinking she was a little bit, out there. And I'm thinking, all right, whatever. I mean, I didn't understand it. She was a kinesiologist, and maybe that was something that, I don't know, She did more the scientific route. Ooh, I found secret cards. That's a message. Somebody did. Somebody found something going through their mother's possessions. They found out. That's where they found out that they had another family. Wow, they found out. Secrets are coming to light. Okay, so secret cards. I found out something about my mother too after she died, and I'm shocked. I was shocked. I've never in a million years would my mother have done what I was told my mother did. I'm like, no way, not my mom. And anyway, my mom would do, what would she call them? They were readings, actually, but she called them healings. She would work with people. My mother was quite well known. I didn't know that in the spiritual community. And somebody came to me and talked to me about my mom, and she was really firm with me. Because I was angry. I went through an angry period when my stepfather came back into my life. He kept talking about all the negative stuff, and all of the progress that my mother had made with me since she had passed back into spirit was gone, because all I could think about was the negative. And she said to me, you know, she snapped me back in line. And she said, she goes, I don't know this person that you speak about. That was not the woman I knew. It would be like, you know, somebody that knew, I would say it would be like my stepdaughter, Kendra, right? She knew me before I had my awakening, before I was aware of anything. And it would be like her friends knowing me then and knowing me now. I don't know that person. That's not who she was, right? I am an Aries sun, Gemini rising, Pisces moon. I don't know what my Venus is. I'll have to look it up. And generally, Aries people are they're party people, right? We love parties. We love people. We love dancing. And I am very much isolated a lot. I'm not doing the typical thing because my life is changing so drastically, right? But I used to be. When I met Kendra's father, I was dancing 5 nights a week. I couldn't imagine not doing that. I loved it. And now it's like, I love to dance. I still would love to go, but the whole atmosphere would be off, right? So it's a difference of who you are. But she snapped me back into line. So I feel this has a lot to do with that acceptance. You know, as you get older, you look at things differently. And we have to accept things the way they are. So my mom, she would do this I don't know, I can't remember what she would call it. Say we'll call it a reading, but it was like a healing or something. And she would do it with me. I'd let her, because I didn't know what the hell she was doing, kinesiology. So she would, oh my God, this is it. I opened right up to the page that I was meant to be on, of course. Well, I'll tell you what she would do. She would fan the book, and she would say, first of all, she would say which side, left side, right side, you know, right side. And then she would fan through the pages, and then wherever it would stop, she would stop, and then she would say left side, right side, top, bottom. Okay, so I'm going to read, and then she would read it, and that was the message. And I was like, that's cool, right? And to me, it was called kinesiology. That's all I knew she was doing. I didn't think it was creepy. There weren't any angels, there weren't any demons, there weren't any aliens. So what I opened up to was the Heyoka, the trickster shaman, the Heyoka. It's very important. The Heyoka is the contrary clown. And you know the Fool. I'm an Aries Fool, right? In the tarot, it's called the Fool. So this is fun for me to look at this. Aho, Heyoka! Make me laugh so I'll be human again. Allow me to see my crooked path and the trickster as my friend. Aho, Heyoka! How contrary you can be. Yet you make me learn. And the joke's on me, but next time it's your turn. So they trick us into doing what our higher self wants us to do. The Heyoka does. The Heyoka clown. The sacred trickster is one who makes you wonder if what they're saying or doing is actually correct, thereby making you think for yourself. Not think, what did someone else tell you, right? This is awakening you. They want you to figure things out for yourself. They want you to ask the questions, right? So when people are made to think on their own, the wobbly beliefs that have been a rubber crutch for them in the past are tested. If the rubber crutch gives way and they end up on the ground on their butt, a lesson was learned. If they stop and think, test out a teaching for themselves, and it stands in good stead, the wobbly belief becomes a knowing system for their lives. Works for me. That works for me. Put that in my tool belt. That does not work for me. That does not align with me. Just because it doesn't align with me doesn't mean it doesn't align with someone else. I know what you're doing. I know that there's something that I'm about to hear that would be extremely shocking for me. And because of my upbringing, because of the way I have believed, it's going to be very hard for me to wrap my brain around it. So this is happening. I am getting what's going on. The divine trickster is called Heyoka by the Plains tribes and the Koshari by the Hopi and Pueblo Indians. See, my grandmother is Hopi, the native that comes to me. She's Hopi. We're Hopi. Many tribes have trickster teachers who dressed in costume for ceremony and wear regular clothing in daily life. My twin said he would dress up. He said he would dress up. I know that the Jews have ceremonies and what's it called, holidays, and they would dress, but maybe he was speaking about the native side of him, right? So, because my cousin went to Sundance and they dressed, right? All Heyokas dress in costume for ceremony and wear regular clothing in daily life. Their jokes do not stop just because it's not a feast day. All Heyokas operate through opposites. The Heyoka's purported wisdom imparted to a seeker would be the exact opposite of the answers the person would find for theirself. I think that's so funny. That's what spirit does. Why does this happen? Because they're making you seek it out. You're a truth seeker, right? You're a seeker. You're looking. The laughter surrounding the results could be a lesson for the entire community. Let's read that again. The Heyoka's purported wisdom imparted to a seeker would be the exact opposite of the answers the person would have found for the self. And then everyone laughs. The Heyoka is known for creating lessons at the expense of another one's seriousness. Laughter is the ultimate lesson that breaks the bonds that destroy the balance in people. I won't go on, but this is fun for me. I love this, right? So the Coyote is the trickster, the Heyoka. But you can also look, remember I spoke about the Coyotes were the drug runners, and they were the ones that disemboweled the Native Americans. So what does the Coyote mean to you? Well, as a shaman, the Coyote is the trickster. When you see the Coyote, things are about to go sideways. Things are about to go off like Wile E. Coyote. It's going to happen, right? So that might be a message right now that I keep looking over at the Heyoka. Oh, the Coyote. So check this out. My Heyoka is holding the dragon's eye in his mouth. Ah, I knew who my Heyoka was. I knew. See the belly on this Coyote? Sammy has a belly like that. My cat, Sammy. They don't know why. I was worried about him. I thought he had a lot of fluid in his lungs, and I thought he had heart disease, because that's one of the symptoms. They carry a lot of fluid in their belly, and he doesn't. But this is to show me. They said sometimes people just carry their weight that way, and I thought that's weird because it's hard, right? So Sammy has got the dragon's eye in his mouth. Okay, so we're going to go to the page that we turned to. Spirit says this is what we need. You need. These are messages for you. In all cases, we only carry the burdens we wish to carry. If it makes us feel good or important to have so much to handle, we might need to look at our ideas of self-importance. The reminder is that we are all self-reliant, and we must use our talents to find our own solutions. The best answer is one shared equally by the travelers on the sacred path. I'm going to read it again. In all cases, we only carry the burdens we wish to carry. Don't say, oh, look what you made me do. Nobody makes you do anything. It's our choice. Unless you're a child forced to do something. When you're an adult, it's your choice. If it makes us feel good or important to have so much to handle, then we might need to look at our ideas of self-importance. So that's what I say. Nobody's asking you to be a martyr. But some people live to be a martyr. Some people feel that that's the only way that they feel important, is if they carry everybody else's problems and they weigh themselves down, and then they complain about it too, right? But no one wants you to be a martyr. No one's asking you to carry them. Everybody needs to be self-sufficient. And not only that, not only are you wearing yourself out, but you are aiding and abetting dysfunctional behavior on their behalf, right? You're doing the work of others. And I kept getting the cormorant message, right? The cormorant says, don't be doing the work of others and not getting paid for it. So I understand that in a different way now. I always thought it's, people, you're not getting paid for the work that you did. No, you're energetically not being paid. You're doing someone else's work. It's not your job to do their work. Stay in your side of your garden, right? Clean your own yard. You do your own work and you let them do their work. When my twin and I separated, that's what Spirit said. This guy and girl, they knew each other in school and they never got together. They were always friends. They always liked each other, but they never got together. They finally got together. He had to go do his work. She had to go do hers, right? You do your work, I'll do mine. Don't be carrying anybody else's burden. And I find that interesting that I spoke about the bay horse, because the horse is all about assistance, allowing Spirit to help you. You don't do all your work by yourself, right? There's others that help you, and you're not supposed to be the be all end all. You're not the only one in the world, right? We have our own path. Everybody has their own path. Now, I'll go back to why I went to this. I go up years later, and I see this book on my mom's shelf. She says, go get me the Sacred Path. And I'm like, oh my God, because now I knew what it was. She had done this with me for years, but I didn't know. Oh my God, look at her writing. That's my mom's name. She had beautiful writing. My writing sucks. Hers looks like script. Oh, that's a message too. Mother's the actress. So I had not even paid attention to the fact that I had seen this book so many times. So she's sitting at her desk, and this is not long before she died, maybe a couple of weeks. And she said, Sherry, can you get me the Sacred Path? And I said, you have the Sacred Path? I said, I've been looking for this. I've been trying to get this deck forever. And she goes, yeah, you've seen this book for years. And I go, where are the cards? And she goes, oh, I threw those away. And I said, why? And she goes, I don't want anything to do with that. And I thought, you can't take part of it and throw the other part of it away. Why are you afraid of the cards? And she would do things that were scientific, that she could prove, but because of her upbringing and many, many years as a Jehovah's Witness banged into her head, it was still in her head there was a part in the Bible that says, do not be looking to the fortune, do not be looking to the stars, right? Do not be seeking a fortune teller of events. Do not be looking to the stars. The message was not that there was evil to be looking at the stars, or it's that we have our own answers. We have to seek our own answers, like the Heyoka is trying to get us to do, right? People misread things all the time. But my mother was afraid of these cards. She threw them away. So when I awakened, I went full bore spiritual, and she was more the other. So now our worlds are colliding. Two worlds colliding, right? In a good way. And my mom's here to teach us. So counting coup, I'm sorry that this is going on so long, and I don't know why I'm apologizing. You guys can skip ahead to your sign if you don't find this interesting. I find it extremely fascinating. Counting coup came up, and counting coup is victory. Now, there's the upright medicine, and then there's contrary medicine, right? Contrary medicine, there's like the application. The war cry has been shouted, and victory is assured if you have received the counting coup card. You are being put on notice that a personal victory is in the works. You may have overcome a long-time challenge or conquered an opponent, so now it's time to share your victory with others. Whether the victory is one of spiritual nature, of winning a lottery ticket, it makes no difference. You are to honor yourself at this time and be grateful for this blessing. Counting coup represents the success of forward movement, which is what the horse represents, right? And the acknowledgement of right action. You have been true to yourself, and you're being rewarded for staying on the sacred path. Spirit says, no matter how bad it gets, no matter how scary it looks, no matter how confused things are, stay on your spiritually illuminated path. It'll work its way out. Don't go off your path, right? So share the joy of your coup with those who wish to, share the joy of your coup with those who want to see you winning. Remember, warriors who had counted coup always took care of the widowed, aged, and feeble. The material victories shared bring further honor, providing another coup feather for those who willing to give away. So basically, what you're blessed with, bless others, right? I do my readings. These are my gifts. So this is, and there's another message in this. I'm going to put this away because I could just go on, right? And we need to move on. But this is something that Spirit wanted me. There was a lot of messages that I just gave right now, and secrets were just revealed. I was just shown. So this book and deck I got online, but I have my mother's. This is my mother's book. The other book is in there. I work with her book. Her energy is in here, right? I'm connecting with my mom every time I use her things. That's why I'm so grateful that I have the few items that I have. Most of my things were stolen, but Spirit allowed my most sacred ones to be saved because I had kept those ones in my room, right? They weren't in the storage unit, like her peaceful Buddha and her giant Buddha. My brother who is, well, he's not really doing anything with the organization, but he calls himself a Jehovah's Witness. He didn't want anything to do with her woo-woo stuff because he felt it was demonic, right? So I got all of it, and I'm grateful. We already got our next card, and the next item that we're going to go to is the deer. So that's earth element. And your message is authority. I know what I was going to show you. I posted something yesterday. It was the sunset last night when I came home. It was incredible. I was told look up, and oh, beautiful. I think I shared it on YouTube as well. But on YouTube, I think I'm only able to share like one picture. I don't know if I put them all together. But what I noticed, and everybody has been sending me I've been being tagged in it, and people are sending me pictures of the phoenix rising, right? Well, the phoenix is victory, right? So last night when I went to take pictures of, I videotaped first the sunset. Maybe I'll upload that video to, I will. I'll upload that video to YouTube so you guys can see it because it's incredible. It's not very long. What I noticed standing out were the phoenix and the angel. There was a phoenix rising and there was an angel rising. Remember I called on all low-flying angels, right? Well, they were there. So one of those was my low-flying angel, which is my mom. And I didn't know that till right now. I was just told that. So that's pretty cool. But I did share the pictures, and that's probably why I'm feeling like this, right? I'm so connecting right now. The pictures, the V. I kept saying, everywhere I'm going, I'm seeing the V. It's victory. Victory, says the Heyoka, right? So that's pretty amazing. So earth element, authority. Authority. This is interesting to me. So we see, I'm looking at Archangel Michael. He's got the blue wings, so it's Michael, and he's wearing my soul color. No wonder, he's my brother, right? He's looking up, he's in a cave. And it's interesting to me because it makes me feel like when I was in Keyhole Cave and I had all of those people that the coyotes had butchered, all of the souls in there come through me at once, rushing through me. It was very overwhelming. I'm wondering if I'm wondering if this person, who is actually an angel, was thrown into this abyss, was thrown into this cave. You know how they threw Daniel into the lion's den to kill him, right? That was the whole purpose of it, until the angel was down there walking around, and those lions wouldn't dare come near and do anything to him. He's looking up. He's down inside, like a pit, right? And he's looking up to the light. So when I was in Keyhole Cave, those people, someone had authority over them, and they kept them in that cave, and they killed them. They butchered them in there. So we're talking about the Heyoka coming out. We're talking about, seeking, about opening our minds to other things. And in this world, there's always an authority over us, right? It's been designed that way. Rules. There's so many rules that we must abide by. And in many situations, we must, in order to remain, to maintain order. We can't have absolute chaos. There has to be an order of things, right? But as an indigo child or an indigo adult, we can see where the truth lies when ones are abusing their authority, right? And you who have chosen this, the deer, and I definitely did, the pair of deer, you have a job, and your job in this world is to help redesign. You've got a job to do. You came here for a reason. That's why I said, when we get our gifts, they're not pretty gifts that are supposed to sit on a shelf. God says, I gave you those gifts. Don't you dare be ashamed of those gifts. Don't you ignore those gifts. Don't you throw them up on a shelf and not open those gifts. You are meant to use those gifts, not just for yourself. You came here with a purpose, and you're supposed to be saving this planet, helping this world. This world's going to hell in a handbasket, and our children and us are going to be the ones that save it. We are teaching the ones that are coming up. The ones that are awakened are teaching the ones that have the gifts never to be ashamed of those gifts, to use those gifts, and to rebel against authority. I know that's not liked. But not rebel against authority in wicked ways, but in ways that a sacred rebel would rebel, right? We need to redesign our world to be fair. It has not been fair. Man has run this world into the ground. The goddess energy is love, and it needs to be fair. So when others are being controlled or monitored, that's wrong. That's not okay. I don't care who you are. You're not allowed to control. There are spiritual narcissists. There are, yes, in the spiritual community, there are a narcissist that wants all the attention, wants all the accolades, wants fame and fortune and followers, and you follow them. Followers came up the other day. Somebody said to me The person that I blocked said that to me. They said that to me about being, and I don't like that, the follower. What did the person say to me? I can see why they chose you. You're strong. Where is that one about a follower? And you know, I don't, I let it go. Like I don't pay attention to that because that's one of the things growing up as a Jehovah's Witness. I don't know if it's something I ever heard. I think it might have been. It might have just been Spirit speaking to me. But what I've always gotten is don't forget your place. We're not meant to minimize. Like my father said, Jehovah's Witnesses are the most unhappy people in the world. And I said, why? And he said, because they're always being told they're missing the mark of perfection. They're always falling short of the mark of perfection, which is what we're not taught, right? I don't teach that. We're not falling short. There's nothing wrong with us. We are learning. We're all learning. We're all learning at a different rate in different things, right? Some people are came here for certain things, and some people came here to do other things. That's not of any interest to me. That's not any interest to you, right? Birds of a feather flock together, but we all have a path. So, the followings, that was Spirit talking to me when I was in Sedona, and they isolated me from others, from all the spiritual community, because they didn't want me to learn from them. They wanted me to be taught by Spirit through my dreams, and they didn't want me to follow anyone. They wanted me to take all of the lessons and things that I'm learning and create my own way of life. I don't want a religion. I don't have a religion, right? There are spiritual people like the Jones Massacre. They do crazy things when they follow people, right? I don't want a following. That's why we're family. We're soul family. But a lot of the people start getting a large following and they forget their place. Remember yesterday, I saw myself. I didn't like that. I watched the readings yesterday and I watched it and I was like I wasn't talking about anything spiritual. I mean, I was, but I wasn't really. I was just, I know that things were being said. I heard what was being said through my higher self, but when I listened back to it as just a regular person, it just probably sounded like what did I say? I felt like I was doing a video log. Like, you know, that's not my purpose. So I was shown that for a reason. This person said something about that. You know how, what's it called? And this person may not be an evil person. This person may be just repeating things that they know. This is what, you know, how they have been raised or what they've been used to. You know, when you fluff up somebody's ego, right? You're gonna get information out of them. They'll think that you're their friend. Wrong. You know, Spirit said, hell no. So where is it about the following? But be very careful that don't lose don't forget who you are. And don't forget that God could cause the rocks to cry out. He doesn't need us, right? This is a gift. We've been given the opportunity to share and help, right? So we have to remember our place. And that doesn't mean that we can't be proud of ourselves. I was told, good girl, Sherry. I didn't hear that enough, right? But it doesn't mean that I want a large following. It messes people's heads up because we are human, right? We do have egos. Everybody likes attention. Everybody wants to be liked. Nobody wants to hear people talk shit on them. I don't know where it is, but it's in here. I know it's in here. And I saw it and I thought, ooh, I didn't like that, right? I don't like that because that's not what I'm doing. It's not what I'm here for. I had a roommate where I lived before I came to this house, and I was doing a video and she said, I want to be a star. I'm going to start a YouTube channel. I can do that. I want to be a star and make a lot of money. And I go, you think that I'm a star? You look at the amount of people that watch these readings compared to tarot readings where they're predicting, you know, this guy's going to do this or, you know, they're going to say that or whatever. These are guidance videos. Very, very few following. But the ones that follow it are actually are spiritual people who want to know, you know, right? Who are wanting to connect to Spirit. They're the totem that I see go by right now, which is the great white heron. the jack of all trades, the masters of none, the ones who see an opportunity when others don't and they can make something amazing of, but the ones, the indigo child, the ADD, the attention deficit, the ones who have addiction issues, right? Those people, the weird ones, right? That's who's following. And they're not following me, they're following spirit. I always constantly say, it's not me. It's not me. Someone says, oh, you did this, or you did that. No, it's not me. It's the energy coming through me. You're drawn to my energy, to my light, right? I am a channel of divine energy. Of course, you're going to be drawn to that because Spirit's drawing you to them. So, but be careful. People lose their way. I watch other people and they start doing, I got to be careful. I just, this is a message for me, right? It's a message for me. I don't know where the hell this is. Anyway, that just came up, the following. So, this one, I feel as though this one was controlled, right? This is an angel walking. You don't know who angels are walking on this earth. They could be the homeless guy walking by, talking in his head, the one that you think is schizophrenic, right? He's not schizophrenic. He knows who he's talking to. You just can't see them, right? I talk to spirit all the time. So this one might have been abused. I watched somebody as a child locked in the basement. It was dark. They put him down there like a wild dog. I saw him as a baby wolf, and they closed the ceiling over top. It was like a cellar, and they locked him in there, and he was terrified in the darkness, you know. This one, but light is coming to this one, right? So think about that situation symbolically. You have been kept in a basement with the door locked down like you're freaking Cinderella, and the wicked stepmother has put you down in there, right? And you've been controlled. And because you were raised this way, you're used to that control. Now, if you are somebody that has Asperger's or autism, they just call it autism now. It used to be classified, and I don't like labels, but I'm giving this as an example. My daughter's husband's nephew has he's a high functioning autistic child. My girlfriend Erica, her brother's autistic. He definitely communicates with angels. 26 years old, wrote a letter for the first time, and he wrote it to his aunt, and then he wrote it to her, and she was like, he's never spoken. He doesn't speak. And he wrote to her right when I just met her in Wisconsin, and I had just began my spiritual work, right? And I think I had come back to California, I can't remember, but she wrote to me, and she says, I need to show you something. She was very overwhelmed, and she said, my brother wrote me a letter, and nobody in the family knows that I talked to you. See, because she didn't want anybody to know. They wouldn't understand. They're very religious, right? She didn't want anybody in the family to know that she was interested in this. So she goes, my brother wrote me a letter, and it's about you. And I'm like, what? I hadn't had too many religious experiences, and I call them religious spiritual experiences. That was from my childhood. And then I have copies of the letter. I shared them on Facebook. And he said, there were 3 pages. And he said, Sherry Columbus, listen to her. She's like me. Sherry Columbus, angels whisper. She speaks to angels. She's trying to help you. Listen to her. And I was like, wow, because no one knew my last. She goes, first of all, he doesn't even know who you are. No one does. And certainly they wouldn't know your last name. He wouldn't have known your business name, right? And I said, that's awesome. That's freaking amazing. He's so connected. But when you were, some of these star children that come are so highly sensitive and so tuned in that they can't handle the outside world. It's too harsh for their reality. So he doesn't even speak. He doesn't go out. You see, I've cut autistic children's hair. They're afraid of the water, right? They were afraid of the scissors, and the parents tried to hold them down, and I said, don't do that. Don't do that. So I would take the scissors, and I would put them on my face. And I would say, see, look, see, it's okay. I'm not going to hurt you. Do you want to hold them? And I would let him hold the scissors, right? And then I would go like this. I said, see, if I'm very careful, all it will cut is the little pieces of your hair. But if you sprayed the water, the kid would lose his mind, right? And I saw this in my dreams, somebody else I'm connecting with. I was very good with them because I understood you got to get down on their level, right? Or you got to get up to their level. They don't trust you why would they trust you coming at them with sharp scissors, right? But and these ones that are of this, that are so connected to spirit, they are able to function on a very high level, and they can be very successful. They can be very, very highly intelligent. Like that one is very intelligent. Someone that I love is extremely intelligent, but they get overwhelmed and they need to go and connect to nature, and that's where they find their center again, where they get grounded. The higher I ascend, the more sensitive I become to noise. I've always been very sensitive to loud noise, and when I hear loud noise, it instantly makes me angry, like angry. A motorcycle, a loud motorcycle, when they go by, like it shouldn't be that loud, but it's because my ears are hearing other things. I'm hearing other frequencies, right? So that is too loud for me, and that's why my lifestyle is very different. For this person that was treated this way, they didn't understand what was wrong with this. They're breaking everything, and they're making a mess of things, and they act strange, and then they're very inappropriate, and they never say they're sorry. They don't even act like they care. They are more. It's the best way I can describe it is they're like an alien. They're kind of looking at it like they're observing, right? Their emotions are different. So many have been abused and have been held back and controlled. So there are those of us that understand that and have a little bit of that, but aren't to that extent, that when we see an injustice, when we see somebody being controlled by another, we rebel against that. No, you don't accept that. That's not okay. This is your job on this planet. This is one of your jobs, is to be a sacred rebel and to understand that proper authority is fine, but abusive authority is not okay. And we are here to help guide other ones through in a peaceful way. And the angels are here to help guide us through in a peaceful way. So in doing this, then we clear the path and make it easier for others that may have had a difficult time if they didn't follow our lead, right? I said that my twin, I wrote it in a post, he's a front runner, right? That person in my dream says he won't amount to anything. And I'm like, you're wrong, man. He's a front runner. Without him, you would go nowhere without him, right? So and yet the ones that are this way, they're very humble. I know who my Heyoka is. They will never call themselves a Heyoka because they're too humble, right? They, and yet they can be controlled by a spiritual narcissist. Now, I have another message that came in, and they're bringing it back now, that if you are someone that has Asperger's or autism, high functioning, doesn't matter, you must have routine. They don't like routine to be disrupted. Even if the routine is abusive, they grew up with that. They know that. They have a narcissistic brother or narcissistic mother or a narcissistic father. They've been abused, and you can see they're being abused, but they stay there because they're familiar with that. It's comfortable for them. It's very hard to break out of that because they're used to having things be a certain way. Like, and some of the most brilliant minds in the world had autism or Asperger's, right? Eiffel Tower. That's why they keep showing me the Eiffel Tower. That's so interesting that I made. And I said something different yesterday that I will clarify. I said that this was my twin, right? This is me. This is me for my twin. This is my twin. He's the cat. And I said that there's a cat, and I'm the cat too, but for all intents and purposes for this, there's a reason I said that. I don't know why. Somebody asked me that, I think. And if you saw the pieces that were on there and why I created what I created, my higher self led me to do it. And it means a lot there's a story in these. So you may ask yourself why somebody stays in an abusive situation. Why does that person stay with that karmic soulmate? They believe that that person is their soulmate. Yes, they are their soulmate. My son is my soulmate. Your brother may be your soulmate, right? Your mother may be your soulmate, but they're abusive. And it's not okay. But if you are somebody that's a high functioning autistic person, it will be very hard for you to break away from that, because the pattern of familiarity is so strong. Now, my little Sammy, Liger is big boy, my big boy, right? He's a Maine Coon, and Sammy has been extremely abused. I asked Liger to take care of Sammy, right? And to be nice to Willow, because she had lost her mother, or her owner, whoever it was, and he did. But every once in a while, but Liger's a bit of a bully too. He takes all of Sammy's food. I have to, he'll eat it all. And Sammy is, when I walk, if anyone walks, he runs. Like, he's very, very afraid. He's been extremely badly abused. And even me, I have to walk very, very slowly, and he'll still run away from me. If I lay down in bed, he'll climb up, and he's very pushy with me, aggressive. He pushes Willow away, and I'm his, right? But when I stand up, I scare him. So in a different, so that's a message for somebody that in your life, maybe, right? Or my life, that when I stand up for myself, I'm frightening to them, right? I may feel intimidating to them. I stand up. When I'm lying down, when I'm more relaxed, they're not afraid. So, and yet Sammy he'll spend the night with me in the bed, and then in the early morning, he'll start to cry. He wants out. He wants to be with Liger. Even though he pushes him away, even though he bats him, even though he takes his food, he's gotten into that pattern, because I've had him for a year, and that was the pattern. He would sleep outside with Liger. So even though he wants to be with me, and Liger's taking all of his food and pushing him around, he's used to that pattern. He's showing me someone in my life. Okay? So this was a long message. My word. I'm getting so many messages, it's incredible. I need to teach classes, and I don't know how to do them. This needs to be taught. Okay, the next sign. So we did the deer, earth, we did fire. Water is next. The freshwater pearls and the amethyst, water element. You are not alone. You are not alone. And as an indigo, or as a spiritual person, and this is great for everybody here, because we are all spiritual people, or we wouldn't be listening to this reading, right? So a lot of times we are the hardest on ourselves, and we feel like we're alone because we're different than everybody else, right? And we don't really feel like we belong. We want to belong. I don't really care, actually, but there was a time that I wanted to belong to the spiritual community, and I wasn't asked in. I think that's funny. Remember when Spirit didn't want me to be a part of the spiritual community, because they had forgotten their place, and they didn't want me to be taught by them because they knew I was going to be a teacher, and I'm a sponge, right? And they didn't want me to be doing things the way they did it. They all have a job. It's not that they're doing anything wrong. They have had their guides show them what to do, right? And that's what they teach. But if I went to them and learned from them, I would be following their teachings. I am supposed to follow what I am taught, right? And I'm to teach a different group. That's just we're light workers. We're way showers. That's what we do. So when I was first awakening, Ryan saw angels. Ryan talked to angels and heard them. I didn't. He saw our higher selves. He told me what my higher self looked like, which really bothered me. I'm like, why should he see my higher self? And it's another thing when people go to get their Akashic records read or their past lives read. I don't want anyone else to tell me about my past life. I will know about my own past life, and I'll find out myself. Thank you. You aren't going to tell me about my past life. That's just how I feel. I am a teacher. I'll learn. I am a seeker, right? So, but I wanted to hear angels. I wanted to see angels, and I wanted to belong to Team Light. That's Ryan's group. It's called Team Light. And I was never asked to be part of Team Light. But I'm not a follower. I've never been a follower. I've always been done things differently. In high school, I would dress very differently, and then people would copy me, and I hated it. I didn't do it because I wanted people to copy. I didn't like it. I wanted to be different. And I love that, because my spiritual twin, Spirit, said to me, the love of your life is very eccentric, and he He dresses very differently, and he does. I like that. I like it. I don't want the same, because I'm not the same. So you're being told you don't want to be like everyone else, and you're not alone. And as you grow older, you realize that the thing that we all realize as we get older, we're all just getting by. We're all doing the best that we can, right? If I went back, I was thinking about my readings several years ago. Oh my God, and I'm leaving them up. But I could see when higher self was speaking, and I could see when I was so off in what I was getting. I was giving the messages correctly, but I didn't know. I was wrong in what I was assuming about my twin because of what I was watching. It was so confusing to me. I still don't have absolute clarity on it, and I'm not going to kill myself over it, because I drove myself crazy trying to figure things out, right? So maybe you're like, I don't know, I feel alone. And maybe it has nothing to do with your spiritual path. Maybe it's just you feel alone. You don't have anyone like you in the area, or you're different than your family, or maybe other people are successful and well, I will tell you, why was I only getting, where is it? Where's my page? And I've said this before to you guys. So last night, okay, so the weekly, I call it the weekly reading. The reading where I was speaking with the Muscovite Micah, 131 views. And it's been 2 days. 2 days. Oh no, 143 views. Okay? But if I go across to Water Baby Tarot, P.S. This girl's awesome. If you guys want to watch a tarot reader, I love her. She's awesome because she is connected to spirit. She premiered a reading December 21st, and she has had 51,132 views. She has, does it show you how many followers? Normally they show you. 2.6 thousand followers. And mine is, let me go to my page. It's funny, actually. It's a good thing I don't have a huge ego, right? Mine, I have 1.23 thousand, 1.2 subscribers, right? And so when I was doing this work, I said to Spirit, I don't understand. Like, I'm doing this work. I put a lot of my time and energy into it, and I love this. I do. I love it. I could talk about this all day long, forever and ever. Amen. Somebody said to me, what are you? And I don't know what to call myself, but I say I'm a spiritual teacher, because that's what I want to do the most. I love teaching, right? I love teaching what Spirit's showing me. I get very excited about what I'm shown so that I can help other people understand and learn too. It's exciting. But then I would look at that and I'd be like, and another reader said, oh, I just wanted to say thank you. We've just reached 20,000 subscribers since I started my page last year. And I'm like, last year? When did I start doing this? And I'm like, I don't understand. Why do I have so few followers? Because I don't want followers. I say I don't want followers. So is it, I'm curious, because is it that I'm stating that to the universe? I don't want followers. And yet I want followers here. I want as many people as possible to see these messages from Spirit, because these are inspired. These are very important messages that Spirit's handing down. I know how connected I am. So I would say, please like, subscribe, and share these videos. You have to click subscribe to all to get them, right? And I love your comments. I'm getting ringing. Okay, that's the right answer. Okay, so I said, am I not getting followers because I say I don't want a following. I don't want a following for me. I want a following for Spirit's messages. That's why my page is called The Angels Whisper. At first it was Sherry Columbus, Angels Whisper. Now it's called Angels Whisper, Sherry Columbus, right? Because the emphasis is on the angels. They don't scream at you. You've got to listen, right? And so, but what I heard, the ringing, I got ringing in my right ear when I said I would like to have following for the message. the reason I got ringing in my right ear, this is the night side. This is the light side. This is the night side. So that was ego. And there's a reason things are the way they are. And it doesn't matter that there's only a certain amount of people that may recognize you or recognize your talents or your gifts. What matters is that the right people do. So for you feeling alone, right? I don't feel noticed, or I don't feel special, or you don't want just everyone and anyone. You want the right people, right? So as we awaken, we will notice our friends dropping away. It happens. Everything starts to change because we've changed, and we start seeing them differently, and they start looking at us differently, and we start to drift away from one another because that part in our life is over, right? Some of the people will come with you, will stay friends with you, but maybe not as close, and others won't at all, because you're like, who are you? And what did you do? Like my son says, who are you? And what did you do with my mother? But he doesn't say that about this person. He said that about the person who was living in California, and he came down, but he moved. I was living in California. Devin he had gone back up to Canada, and he'd come down for a visit, and he was like, I don't know, he was in his, I don't know how old he was. I can't even think of how old he is. He was in his 20s anyway. And I was married to Ken, and Ken didn't like antiques. He was afraid of antiques. He said they were haunted. And I've always loved history, right? Antiques. So I wasn't allowed to have my furniture in the house. I had to have everything like that up. He gave me one room, it was upstairs. So Devin came over, and he didn't like that. That made him really angry. And he said, where's my mother? I don't see any signs of my mother in this house. I see plastic plants. I see cold furniture. I don't see any antiques. I don't see any of her. Where's the gardening, Mom? You don't even have a big yard, Mom. I was a gardener. I had huge perennial gardens, right? Where did she go? It's the same thing with a spiritual person. When we start to awaken, my ex-husband, we were divorced, and we didn't speak for 2 years. And then he missed me, right? And I missed him too. He was my best friend. So we started hanging out, and we never did anything. We never kissed. We never had sex, nothing. I think I slept in the same bed a couple of times, but we absolutely didn't touch. And he didn't understand why I was so cold, but the boundary was there, right? But we hung out all the time. We went dancing all the time, but I started going on my path, right? I had already started, and he wanted to have fun. He didn't want to be married because he didn't want to be married. He said he'd been married forever, and he'd taken care of kids, and he didn't want to be a husband, didn't want to be a dad. He just wanted to be a big kid and have fun. And so he was doing all that stuff, and I thought, I don't want to be that girl. I don't want to be that same tired woman at the bar that's been there forever. Oh my God, you're still going to the bar? You've been here forever, right? There's got to be something more. So because at that time I was asking the universe questions, I didn't know I was doing that. And I was getting answers, driving by on a truck, or it would come on the radio 5 minutes later, or somebody would bring it to me, and I thought, what is going on? I was getting this happening, right? So I was very interested, and I was into this. And he was mad at me because he was losing his best friend. And he said, you're no fun anymore. You don't smoke pot, you don't drink, you don't party, you don't do anything. And he wanted me to go with him. I told you guys. And I felt I didn't want to. I didn't want to drink. I don't like the taste of alcohol. I like the feeling of a buzz. I will tell you that. I do. It feels good. But I don't like the taste of alcohol. And it takes a lot for me to get a buzz, or it did. So he talked me into going out. It was peer pressure. I felt bad because he was my best friend. He goes, I don't want to hang out with everybody else all the time. I want to hang out with you. So I went, and I didn't want to go, and I ended up going, and we drank, and I drove, and I got a DUI. Why? Because I was being taught, don't do what you don't want to do, even to make somebody else happy. And did I learn my lesson? No. I did the exact same thing 3 years later. 3 years later, I got 2 DUIs. Do you know that I'm a landed immigrant? I'm a Canadian citizen with a green card. And do you know that if I had 3 DUIs, if I had a felony, I would have to leave this. They could kick me out of this country. And I've lived here since 1975. I didn't know that. I mean, it's very important stuff, right? So, if you feel like you're by yourself, you're not by yourself. And if I understand that it's very difficult moving through into a different way of being, because